Doflamingo is joining Cross Guild. Why is he doing this? Well, it's for reasons. Good reasons, in fact, because after Dofi's initiation, this group will consist of a lizard, a bird, another bird, and of course, a clown. A truly terrifying combination. But why is Doflamingo integral to Crocodile's endgame goal? In fact, what is that goal? Why does he need so many birds? Why don't I have a bird? All I have is dog. Well, let's answer some of those questions. Here's the thing. Cross Guild is a very 11th hour development. Right before Oda is set to reveal all of the mysteries of the One Piece, he has taken the time to set up an entirely new globally impactful organization. When I first heard the name Cross Guild, my immediate thought was the kitchen, because that's where our bins are. And Cross Guild seemed like a recycling bin for old One Piece villains. You know, we dump our used cardboard crocodile in there, and later a sparkly new cardboard crocodile returns to us to provide mild entertainment and or sustenance. Because that's a problem that a lot of long-running shonen series tend to suffer from, the growing irrelevance of old characters. So authors have to come up with increasingly creative, or more commonly non-creative, ways to keep them relevant. But I don't think that's the case here. Because if Crocodile was a member of the US military, then his rank would slot between Captain and Lieutenant Colonel, because he is going to be a major player in our final saga. How do I know this? Because he told me. In fact, he told all of us, not so much through words, mind you, but more so through magical surrealist painting. Also, for every new subscriber during the month of September, Grand Line Review will be donating 10 cents to Gamers Outreach, so that we can provide Westmead Children's Hospital with gaming carts equipped with all latest generation consoles to give kids the much needed power to play. We also have a direct donation page, and according to our milestones, we are well into funding our second cart. So if you have the means, please do consider donating, because every little bit helps. And now, a smooth transition back into whatever it is we were talking about. Solving the mystery of Crocodile's ambition and why Doflamingo is necessary to attain it takes us all the way back to one of my favorite cover stories, Miss Golden Week's Operation Meet Baroque Works. This series of covers follows Miss Golden Week's cunning plan to break out all of the Baroque Works members imprisoned after Alabasta, which starts out all well and such, but after a pterodactyl-related accident, Miss Golden Week and friends end up on a resort island where Django and Full Body are topless, Miss Golden Week wears an afro, and eventually there's a prison break. It's a great story, classic One Piece, I love it. However, when Miss Golden Week comes face to face with Sir Crocodile and offers to help break him out, his response is, "Yeah, nah, I'm pretty good actually." After which point we bear witness to the most important character moment in the series for Crocodile. Miss Golden Week uses her vaguely established paint sorcery to non-consensually bring everyone's innermost dreams into reality. This is where it's revealed that Mr. 5 wanted to be a fireman, Mr. 4 wanted nothing more than to be a pizza delivery dude, and very interestingly, Mr. 1 wanted to become a superhero. All of those are fun and such, but Crocodile's dream is big, because he wanted to become the Pirate King. And that's actually the incorrect tense, because Miss Golden Week's powers bring out the current innermost dreams, meaning that Crocodile still wanted, but present tense, to become the Pirate King. And therein lies the ultimate purpose of Cross Guild. Crocodile's scaly eyes are still on the non-scaly prize. Although, to be fair, I guess we don't know that. The One Piece could very well have scales. And as it turns out, Crocodile has incidentally made a great deal of progress towards this goal so far. Now say it with me. What are the 3 things that someone needs to become the Pirate King? Wealth, fame, and power. Crocodile has the wealth. I don't know how, but he has access to absurd amounts of cash monies, at least enough to fund a global marine bounty system, which sounds like a lot. Meanwhile, Buggy has the fame. He is an Emperor of the Sea with, I would argue, the most loyal legion of subordinates in the entire world. And of course, Mihawk has the power, as one of the single strongest dude guys in the world. So weirdly enough, Crocodile has formed a very formidable alliance with all of our traditional needs met. However, you and I know, because we're very clever, we know that one cannot become the Pirate King with wealth, fame, and power alone. And this is where our Flamingo comes into the picture. Doflamingo is invaluable to anyone capable of subduing him, primarily because he possesses an assortment of knowledges that no other pirate has access to. As a former world noble, he was even able to blackmail the world government with a simple threat to disseminate said knowledge, which includes the still mysterious national treasure, a concept which, allegedly, when combined with immortality, would have allowed Doflamingo to rule the world. Doflamingo is far from irrelevant in this story, but it's not just about what he knows, because Crocodile and Doflamingo have a bit of a history together, and whilst they're definitely not on good terms, they had one very retrospectively intriguing interaction at Marineford. Crocodile gets assaulted by a diamond man, ouch, after which point he remembers that he's not actually very good at punch fighting. However, he is saved by Doflamingo, who goes on to say, "Maybe you and I should team up." And Doflamingo has very good cause to say this, which we will get into, but for now, Crocodile responds responds with, "You and I team up, but don't pretend we're equals. Maybe you want to be my henchman." And all I'm saying is it would be pretty great foreshadowing if Doflamingo did actually become Crocodile's henchman. But the smack talk does not stop here, and Doflamingo continues with, "Heh heh heh. I thought prison might have humbled you a bit." Which I find pretty funny because Doflamingo is now the one in prison and in need of a severe humbling. So I can see a situation where Crocodile turns the tables like some sort of fully sick 90s DJ Doflamingo that his original design was supposed to be, and breaks into Impel Down, finds his way to level 6, sees Doflamingo, and goes, I thought prison might have humbled you a bit. Because a second Impel Down jailbreak is almost certainly going to happen. Bon Clay is gathering his fearsome flamboyant forces as we speak on level 5.5, and Crocodile himself is very experienced with this entire prison complex. And I don't think it's anywhere near out of the question for him to invoke what I like to call the Blackbeard stratagem. He's not the only hardened prison veteran in the group either. Buggy, Galdino, and Daz Bones are all former inmates with some unfortunately intimate knowledge of the prison layout, and if there was anyone in the world who could pull this off without the brute force of Blackbeard and the brute stupidity of Luffy, then it is definitely this here group. Besides, Crocodile and Doflamingo actually have a fair bit to bond over. Aside from both being prison pals, they both tried to take over a kingdom, both had said kingdom's princess join their organization, both heavily slandered and even framed the king, as well as used illicit substances to grab power, and of course both of them got smacked down by a big rubber dick. The way the two of them think is terrifyingly similar, which is something that Doflamingo no doubt noticed when he offered an alliance at Marineford. He read about Crocodile in the news and he said to himself, "Hey, that was my idea, except I actually succeeded. Ha 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 ha. I am the best Flamingo man." But little did he know that a challenger would soon appear. The point is that, arrogance aside, Crocodile and Doflamingo would make a pretty amazing team. Because when it comes to strategy, they would agree on almost everything. And Oda has actually done a rendering of this proposed duo looking all fancy and schmick, no doubt inspired by some sort of England, judging from Crocodile's jacket to crown, and Doflamingo's very out of character but kind of cool bowler hat. But also, what are Doflamingo's other prospects? He's not in a particularly great position. I mean, they say that no man is an island, but I would actually argue that Doflamingo is, if only because he has burnt all of the bridges around him. He's not becoming an ally of Luffy because I think that opportunity is a bit far too gone. Shanks is a big no-no. The Revolutionary Army are a little no-no. Blackbeard is a maybe, but probably a no-no. And of course, the world government is Doflamingo's greatest of enemies, and so it actually makes a lot of sense for him to throw his support behind the marine hunting organization. That's another idea that Crocodile stole from him, by the way. Doflamingo pioneered the star bounty system, so I'm beginning to think that Crocodile is just one big old plagiarist. I think it's also interesting to point out that Cross Guild have a perhaps coincidental history of being grouped together. In the chapter I was referring to earlier when Doflamingo invites Crocodile to form an alliance, on the very next page is actually the incident involving Buggy versus Mihawk. I mean, that's definitely a coincidence, but I think retrospectively it's really fun to see just how far everyone has come. And we can look even further back as well, because in chapter 0 there's a series of panels where our three Cross Guildians are given center stage, being flanked by a Doflamingo and a Gecko Moria on each side respectively. These guys are all part of the same pirate generation. You know, the one in between the Kaidos and the Big Mothers and the Luffys and the Laws. And they're the last generation that needs to be brought down before the torch fully passes to our protagonistic rookies. So an alliance of this middle generation is quite an appealing idea to me, sort of like a budget version of the Rocks Pirates, or alternatively, the Rocks Pirates we have at home. To be fair, right now it seems to be heavily implied that Moria is somewhat in league with the Blackbeard, but if things go sour from there, then Cross Guild is quite a natural home for Moria, because he definitely fits that initial impression of a villain in need of recycling. And then Cross Guild would consist of a lizard, a bird, a clown, and another clown. You know, if we find another lizard, we could practically build a Noah's Ark of One Piece villains. In regards to Moria, he's not the only one I would speculate on either, because, and I will admit that this is pure fanboy desire, but I also find the idea of an entire alliance of former warlords very appealing, although the other warlords are much trickier to reason. Boa Hancock, true to her name, is obsessed with a big rubber D, although there is some argument to be made, as she became a warlord in the first place simply to protect Amazon Lily. So if Cross Guild served as a more appealing short-term form of protection, then it could be a reasonable maneuver. However, I will say that if Boa Hancock has not been captured, then the Marines have done a pretty pathetic job at their jobs. They disbanded the warlord system, went after each and every one of them, and at the time of this recording, they've managed to capture none of each and every one of them. In fact, they forced them to do what, rather ironically, the world government never could, and make them work together. Almost every other warlord is accounted for. Jinbei got scooped up by Luffy, Kuma got his brain scooped out by Vegapunk, Law is, well, he's Law, and Blackbeard's doing pretty well with his solo career. But there is still one unaccounted for, a certain Edward Weevil. He would add an intriguing dynamic if only because of Crocodile's connection and or grudge against Whitebeard. I mean, I can't see either one of them getting along with the other, but Miss Buckin is a very different story. She is the brain that Weevil is sorely lacking, and much like Mihawk, could see the benefit of presenting a united front rather than trying to go it alone on the Sigma male grind set. There's one more name I want to bring into this discussion, and look, fair warning, it's a name that no one wants to hear, because it is Caribou, aka one of the single most important characters in all of One Piece for some reason. He's currently working for, quote, someone, that someone probably being a rather unsavory individual. And previously, I immediately jumped to Blackbeard as a likely candidate, and I still do. However, Crocodile is now definitely in the running as well. Crocodile has a special interest in Luffy because in a weird way, Luffy kind of beat Crocodile's dreams back into him. After being thoroughly thrashed by Whitebeard and giving up all hope of being the Pirate King guy, one rubber man in a glorified sandpit showed him that the impossible was indeed possible and therefore no longer impossible. Crocodile's purpose was only reignited after his encounters with Luffy. So when he hears that the Straw Hats are recruiting, then yeah, it's a pretty good idea to try and send in a little spy. Spying and stealth and shadows and doing things sneakily, that is what Crocodile is all about. Whereas Blackbeard is more of a loud and proud, make a big mess kind of guy. And in fact, the closest that the Blackbeard pirates have come to any form of stealth was putting a paper bag over Jesus Burgess's head. And to their credit, it was surprisingly effective. But Crocodile also has a special interest in ancient weapons, specifically Pluton. And Caribou knows a little bit too much in that regard. Previously, Crocodile stated that he'd lost interest in Alabasta. However, he never said that he'd lost interest in Pluton. And if this information was delivered sloppily into his lap by a swampman, then I have a hard time believing that Crocodile would just ignore it. I mean, getting Pluton is a whole different story because of all of the samurai and such, but Crocodile has never been closer to any of his ambitions than he is right here, right now. This man is cunning, this man is deadly, and if he really wanted to, this man could become a sandcastle at any moment. That is the terrifying potential of Crocodile, a legitimate candidate to become our next Pirate King. Meanwhile, here's a legitimate candidate for your attention. It's another video, it's about One Piece, so you should click it, and I look forward to seeing you there.